Us today. Welcome to Hive Talks with Tricia Yap. Tricia Yap, welcome.
Thank you so much.
So to all of those who are joining us online for the talk, as well as those who are here in person, thank you very much for attending. If you have any talks for Tricia, we will have a Q&A portion towards the end of the evening. So feel free to submit them. We've uploaded a link for you, and for those here, there's a QR you can scan to go to a website to ask her. So Tricia Yap, welcome. Tricia is the founder of Limitless Health. It's a functional medicine and wellness concept in Hong Kong, and Tricia actually has a lot of very impressive credentials as well. Former MMA fighter actually, strength coach, certified functional medicine health coach, nutritional medicine practitioner, and precision nutrition performance coach. So really happy to have you here today.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
So why don't we get started with the talk? Tricia, could you introduce us to Limitless as well as your concept and more about what you do?
No problem. So Limitless Health is a fitness concept that marries movement, fitness with functional medicine. So one of the things, I've been in the industry for more than a decade now. I actually used to be a former management consultant, so I was one of the stressed out professionals that maybe broke a couple of keyboards and a computer, henceforth the MMA thing that I accidentally got into. Again, that was not intentional. My boss asked me for anger management classes, and I went, and my coach was like, "Oh, you're old, but you're quite good." And I was like, "Okay, I guess that's a compliment." So there's that. But in the process of that, I found myself needing to, perform as an athlete. So I was looking both at strength training and nutrition and being a personal trainer as well. So all that kind of happened together very quickly. My first concept was a women's only outdoor boot camp called Bikini Fit. That was back in the day. And one of the things that I found, both as a female athlete and a woman that, just enjoyed being healthy and getting fit and being strong, was that a lot of the wellness things were not necessarily catered towards women. So did you know that a lot of nutrition studies are done on men as opposed to women? Simply because the fact that women have way too many variables. For example, we have a menstrual cycle, right? So if you're a scientist or you're a researcher and you want to keep everything equal, it's easier to take a bunch of guys, right? So fast forwarding that, I had to do a lot of weight cuts. I struggled with my own weight, having obviously playing within a weight class sport. So a lot of it was extreme weight cuts, a lot of dieting. I had a nutrition coach who claimed that he had trained a lot of MMA fighters in the past and put me on a keto diet, right? Nonetheless, I managed to push through. However, along the way, I lost my menstrual cycle. I put on a whole load of weight after I was done with the fight. And I was told that I was premenopausal at the grand age of 32 years old. So, and not only that, actually, I had 4 miscarriages, which, gave me the question of, wait, but I look good. Why do I feel like crap? And that's actually what got me into nutritional functional medicine health coaching. And this opened a whole new world to training, nutrition, lifestyle that really at the start was it was mind-boggling. And as I was learning through it and I'm putting myself through it, I was thinking, oh my God, I don't have to go down the no pain, no gain route. I don't have to do extreme weight cuts or quick before after transformations, which is what unfortunately I think it's $97 billion US industry group that is fitness is marketing and promoting, right? Whether it's restrictive diets, whether it's low calories, low fat, low carb, no carb, before, after transformations, abs, right? But no one really talks about habit change, positive mindset, body image, right? Quality sleep, recovery. A lot of what we do at Limitless is, I'm famous for kicking people out of the gym. If they show up and they say, I've had 3 hours sleep and 1 meal, I'm like, out. You need to prioritize your recovery, because the only way you can get stronger, you can get leaner, is if you prioritize your recovery as much as you prioritize your movement, right? There's always balance in things. Some people who are coming in are what we call oversympathetic individuals, and I don't mean empathy, but I mean that they're just stressed all the time. So the last thing I want for people coming into Limitless is that you have that typical trainer that's, got a tank shirt on, yelling, go faster, come on, move your ass, right? When you're bombarded with stresses all across your life, training shouldn't be a stress. It should complement your lifestyle, just like nutrition and lifestyle habits need to complement your lifestyle, not work against it. It's not about changing you today, it's changing you step by step. And so we look at an integrative model. We work with nutrition, right? We don't like using the word diet. In fact, actually, the word diet is derived from the Greek word called dieta, which means way of life, not restricted, not celebrity endorsed, not fad diet. So we look at the movement as well, right? And we also look at recovery, and all that is encompassed by mindset. So when you see our logo, you see a never-ending 4-quadrant. It kind of looks like a Chinese symbol, but it's not. But it basically symbolizes the fact that it doesn't matter where you start. The moment you start moving better, you want to eat better. If you're eating better, you want to move better. If you're prioritizing your sleep, you might find your performance improves. But you can't do any of that if you're not in the right place and the right mindset.
That's really inspiring to hear, actually. I didn't know a lot of those things. Glad you're here to share them with us.
Thank you.
So I want to go into how you actually started Limitless, because it's a little bit of a new concept, and you coming from different fitness experiences and stuff. How did you set that up and get this together? And it's doing so well now as well. So,
when I first changed careers, I was told that being why you want to be a personal trainer? There's so many of them out there, and why do you want to do a boot camp? There's plenty of things going on. And I always believe that there are two things when it comes to starting something new, right? Particularly as many of you maybe who are listening to this talk, you might be entrepreneurs starting out. And a lot of it is people will tell you, or whether it's friends, families, who mean well, don't get me wrong, right? They'll say, oh, the market's saturated. Okay, but and also, or they'll say that there's no market for it, okay? I don't think this type of market existed before we kind of came out and said, okay, well, we actually look at the whole spectrum of things, not from a clinical perspective, but from a health coaching perspective, a nutrition coaching perspective, a personal training perspective. And what I believe is that a lot of entrepreneurs, what you're effectively doing is forging a path that others are going to follow later. So yeah, there might not have been a market for it, but I think we're solving a solution. We're solving a problem that everyone, or a lot of people seem to have, which is I'm eating clean, I'm moving, I'm exercising, I'm training, I'm putting money into my health and fitness, but why am I not getting results? Right, so we're answering that question. We're also answering the question of, well, I'm not sick because I don't have a name of a disease, or I'm
I'm diagnosed with anything, but why do I not feel great either? So there's this whole gray area in between, which if you talk about it to somebody, if you make them aware of it, they're like, oh yeah, actually, that's how I feel, that's me. So yeah, there might not have been a market, but I truly believe that's it's part of us to identify the gaps and fill it.
So in Hong Kong especially, people lead very busy lifestyles. Is there a certain struggle that Hong Kong people experience that you help them to overcome? Like, is there a common issue that a lot of people come to you with that they haven't solved yet?
A lot of it is people like to punish themselves here. Whether it's a dependence on caffeine, whether it's a I will sleep when I'm dead mindset. I think I've seen the T-shirt. Whether it's no pain, no gain, or they basically want to be puddles on the floor at a training session. So I see that this A-type personality definitely does exist in Hong Kong. A lot of the times I challenge them and I said, okay, so it's all about effort. It's in order to do something, it has to be a challenge, right? So how about I challenge you to sleep 8 hours? But because there's that mindset of, oh, it's associated with rest, or it's associated with giving time for yourself, being selfish, especially for women, I see this, you're asking a woman to be selfish, she's like, oh no, I can't, no way, everyone comes before me, right? But in Hong Kong, in a busy city, you live busy lives, there's always something going on. Well, why further punish yourself? No is a word that is often very much overlooked, but it's so powerful.
What about for your women clientele then? Is it a similar issue that they come to you with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of clients who, for female clients, there's a lot of clients that suffer from gut health issues. They may have adrenal issues, irregular menstrual cycles. They may be wanting to have a baby, so they come in and fertility is on their mind. And then of course there's fat loss, right? So I would say a wide range of issues. But I would say at the level, at the base of it, it comes down to moving right and at the right time. So for example, a lot of people think, okay, I can do burpees, jump squats, and heavy deadlifts in week 2, right? Because it's cool, it looks great on Instagram, 2, it makes you feel super strong, right? But imagine that if you were driving a car that had an issue with it, right? I don't know, whether it's sand in the engine or there's a part missing. If you race that on an F1 track, you're only racing a broken car. So from a physical perspective, we need to fix that. Then how is that fuel being utilized, right? I could feed a body the best fuel, high quality organic food, but if the engine isn't taking it up properly, if it's not being digested, absorbed, and then assimilated, right? You don't have the sufficient nutrients to live your life, and that's why a lot of people who eat clean, they may be not getting the results that they need because the body is under some form of, it may have some digestive issue, it may have some absorption issue, and assimilation-wise, I was coaching an international school kid group this afternoon, and I asked the kids, I said, how much water do you guys drink? Does anyone here drink at least 2 to 3 liters of water a day? And there were all these kids going like, what? Water, what's that? So assimilation of nutrients from your food it happens by osmosis, water. So if you're not drinking water today, the simple fact of not drinking water means that you're not assimilating your nutrients and you're therefore not getting any nutrients into your cells, which we all know we're all made out of. And in order to function at an optimal level, all our cells need to be healthy so that they can talk to each other, work as a team without mixed messages, without having any messages blocked, for example, and that's what's cellular health. So yeah, in a nutshell, I think it's, whether, irregardless of male or female, there are all these underlying issues. I think the way we tackle it might be different for men versus women, but then that's more of a coaching style, so to speak, rather than a sort of a scientific side of things. Of course, with women, there's the complexity of estrogen and all some other things as well. But at the end of the day, with men, we want to maximize testosterone. With women, we want to maximize good estrogen, not bad.
Very, very informative. So also because you were the first to kind of introduce this form of health coaching and wellness in Hong Kong, was it difficult communicating your message you have with the public or getting clientele in the beginning? How was it starting out Limitless?
So I guess in a way I've always had a bit of a following. Like I'm not new to the fitness industry, even though maybe the concept is. I know a lot of people don't know what functional medicine is. And so we don't really, our tagline is where functional medicine meets fitness, where fitness meets functional medicine. Sorry, Emily, she's my marketing coach, thank you, now. But what we do say in our marketing or what we do say in our communication is we don't really talk about functional medicine as the technical term, but we often ask clients, when was the last time you felt 100% healthy? When was the last time your body did all the things that you wanted it to do, right? Where are you today? And if you exist within that gray area, maybe we could help. And that's a conversation that we tend to have with our audience.
What about when you were just starting? I want to ask a little bit of the impacts of COVID as well. So we were very unlucky last year. Gyms being forced to close very frequently for people's safety, of course. How did you work around that and just pull through?
So when we opened our doors to this beautiful boutique facility, we were shut down within 2 weeks, which really was, it was highly stressful. We took a lot of movement outdoors, so we were lucky enough to be in Middle Central where we have access to 2 outdoor areas. And so every morning, as a team, we would lug a lot of equipment into the parks, and we basically just kind of tag teamed each other. On the flip side though, while we were doing that was by January, I decided that, or rather early December, when I realized that the government was going to let up on a lot of the lockdown restrictions for fitness centers, we then decided to go online with part of the business. And this is where I launched something called the Metabolic Reset. And the Metabolic Reset is a 6-week program. We do it educational style, so every single week we have a workshop on different topics. So we start off with Gut 101, right? We talk about sleep for a week, we talk about stress for a week, we even talk about blood sugar management, right? The starting kit is sent out to members or whoever is joining, so they get sent out a kit. It contains certain supplements. We even have access to something called a GI map, which is a comprehensive drilled down analysis of your gut microbiome, right? So some people opt for that. And we also include something called a continuous glucose monitor. So for those of you who are really who want to understand truly how you can really personalize nutrition, how to restore your gut for better performance, for better health and better body composition. That's pretty much the metabolic reset. It has been so successful that next year we're actually adding on a brain part of it, which directly works with habit change. So I'm working together with a coach who is a neuroencoding specialist, and she works 4 weeks on different topics, but it's effectively designed to rewire your brain and rewire your perception on things. Because what we found in the last year was that people are doing this, whether they have psoriasis, eczema, joint pain, they have belly fat, they may be pre-diabetic, high cholesterol. We found that we've tackled all of this through the metabolic reset, but when I check in, and I do check in, on the people who have done the reset 3 months, 6 months in, a lot of them now have the knowledge and they know and they're more aware of what they're doing, but a lot of people kind of reverted to old habits. So what I wanted to do was to tack on something where you're looking at the scientific, the technical side of it, you're running through it, you're actually, it's not a detox of any sort, but you're, putting in the building blocks for better health. And then we work with perception, with belief, with thought to kind of change the way people, go from thinking about, oh, I gotta punish myself to I have to nourish myself.
I want to ask more about habit building actually, because I think it's very easy to make a New Year's resolution in January and say I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, I'm gonna do it, and then we see maybe by February the gyms have emptied out already. And also of course in Hong Kong everyone has insanely busy schedules. It's easy to be on top of it for 1 month, but for 12 months or the rest of your professional career, how can people establish these habits and make sure these are long-lasting good decisions for their health?
So first of all, don't expect it to come fast. I think there's an expectation I can, our society is very convenient these days. I want something, I get it, I order Deliveroo, I get an Uber. It's all about convenience. So habit change it is long. You have to have patience for it, and you have to understand, actually, you have to be very honest with yourself. The second thing with habit change is to really cut it down. So when I work with someone, I usually ask, so let's just say, what is the one thing you would like to change about your health and fitness?
Probably sleeping more.
Perfect. So what is the easiest thing that you can do today, actionable tonight, where you could improve your sleep just by 5%?
Probably just getting off my phone and going to bed earlier. It's quite simple.
So getting off your phone, going to bed earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are 2 things that you mentioned there. Which one of the 2 is easier?
Going to bed earlier.
Awesome. How much earlier can you go to bed?
By quite a few hours, maybe 2 or 3.
Okay, could you perhaps start with half of that, an hour and a half?
That would be
Earlier.
easier than 2 to 3.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is just, I am asking you to jump off a cliff, right, with wearing yellow underwear, and 10, where it's so easy that you think I'm actually stupid to ask you, right? Where is 1.5 hours earlier than your average bedtime? Where does that lie on that scale?
Maybe right in the middle, a nice middle ground.
So right at 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
5.
How can you bring that to an 8?
How to make it more
Easy.
Make the goal easier.
Okay, so let's cut that in half. So that would be 45 minutes. Would 45 minutes earlier for your average bedtime, would you be able to do that?
Yes.
Would that be an 8, 9, or 10? Or none?
9.
It would be a 9?
Yes.
Why is it not a 10? You did not expect me to thank you.
No, I didn't. I'm a major procrastinator, that's just why. Like, I could do it, I just don't.
Okay, have you ever been in a situation where you know you were going to procrastinate, but you did not?
Yes.
What did you do to get you over that hump?
I think I just managed my time properly and took away distractions and everything, like my phone.
Perfect. Okay, so when you, so 45 minutes, it's a 9, right? It's not a 10 because your phone is a major distraction. So knowing that your phone is a major distraction, think about what strengths you have, right, in terms of you as a person, because I'm sure you have some character strengths, whether that is self-regulation, maybe not because you say you're procrastinating, right? Or whether that's love of learning or bravery or courage, right? You might be a brave person, okay? So be brave and see whether you can just put that phone aside. How would that work for you?
I think I'll do it tonight.
Perfect.
Tricia's a very good coach.
So if you know, just from that sort of, I don't think it was any more than 5 minutes, but these are the conversations that we have with our clients. And we know that goals are ever changing, challenges are always coming up, but the whole idea is to just break things down until it's just so simple that it's not a huge stretch, right? Think about the last time you tried to change something. A lot of people try and aim for Everest, but what about that very first step, right? And if you nail that, then, and it's part of that, I'm gonna forget part of the brain where there's a reward center in the brain, but it gives you a bit of a dopamine rush, right? And dopamine is a neurotransmitter that increases motivation. So when it comes to the psychology of motivation, cutting a big goal down into teeny tiny steps is the best way. And one of the best questions I always ask people is, how do you eat an elephant?
How do you eat an elephant?
How do you eat an elephant?
By breaking it, cutting it up, I assume.
Bite by bite,
Yes.
right? And that's effectively habit change.
That's a very good way to put it. I see now. So for all of you, your New Year's resolutions, you know what to do. Or come to Tricia at Limitless. Cool. That was a really, really, really good breakdown. So my next question then is, in Hong Kong there are a lot of like quick fixes actually. There's diet programs, packages, there's a lot of like, if you come to us for 6 weeks, you're gonna be done for the rest of your life. So obviously this seems like the more efficient option for many people, but is this actually helping them or do those work in the long run?
I think it depends on the person. For me, when it comes to sort of quick fixes, you have to also understand like how far was that a stretch to somebody. So a lot of the times, like if you're going somewhere and you're training 6 times a week, but you're a mom, you own your own business or you work full time, I would question whether you have the ability to do that, right? And also I think there's with these programs, there's a lot of like restricted dieting that's attached around it, or you have to make certain meals or eat certain things. So the further it goes away from what someone's doing now, the harder it becomes to keep that sustainable. So whether or not it works for some people, I'm sure it does work for some, but I would say very, very few. And a lot of the people that come into us actually go for those before-after programs, and we're kind of like the after gym. And also question, I think like underlying again is, why do you want to do that? right? Is it because you know, a lot of people say, oh, I want to challenge myself, but if you delve deeper, and often when someone comes in, I'm like, give me 10 reasons why you're here. Right? So first 5 reasons are just bullshit. And you really get to the real whys after a while. And whether that is being bullied in the past, having low self-esteem, or or sad things like perhaps you've seen a family member pass away from a disease. There's always a much bigger why, and part of our I think our values is to find what exactly that is, because it's hard then to work with somebody if all you're doing is working the surface, and that's what a lot of aesthetic-based programs are all about. They don't kind of dive deep enough.
Very cool. So thank you. I was going to ask about more on health coaching, but I think that was a very good explanation. So here I think is a good time for us to break for intermission. So for those with questions for Tricia, please feel free to submit them online, and we'll take a look, and you'll be able to ask her after the intermission, and we'll be back in around 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chloe and I'm one of the location managers at the Hive. It is really inspiring being part of so many successful journeys and seeing members connect and collaborate to achieve their goals. Members genuinely enjoy coming into work every day and working around like-minded people. It feels different from a traditional office and more like a family looking out for each other.
Hi, I'm
Hi, my name is Chloe and I'm one of the location managers at the Hive. It is really inspiring being part of so many successful journeys and seeing members connect and collaborate to achieve their goals. Members genuinely enjoy coming into work every day and working around like-minded people. It feels different from a traditional office and more like a family looking out for each other.
Hi, I'm Ashley, Head of Operations at the Hive. The Hive is more than just a beautiful space. We strive to provide a second home for all our members to build genuine connections and achieve their personal and professional goals. By curating events that cater to their interests, we create opportunities for members and the greater community to learn and connect. We organize startup pitch battles, fireside talks, and fashion shows to support the creative industries. In a world of entrepreneurs who are always curious, the Hive works to foster a culture of creativity, community, and growth.
My name is Joseph Cheney, and I'm a co-founder of New Narrative. Well, I really credit the Hive actually with getting us off the ground in many ways. So we've grown from 1 person to 10 during that 6-year time frame. The effects of a shared space, and everybody there is trying to start their own business as well, that creates a feeling of shared destiny that really helped. Even when I was just a hot desker alone, I really felt like the business was real.
Par chance, pour moi maintenant c'est fini. Et tout le monde s'en fout, tu penses. Te voilà maintenant qui t'enfuis, tirant ta révérence. La forêt de nouveau frémit. Je profite du silence. Dans la forêt, je te retrouve à l'heure opportune. Un rendez-vous improvisé sous la lune. Sourire crispé, situation compliquée.
For the Q&A, we have questions. Yeah, I didn't even ask how to my questions. Oh, we do have another. Oh, we do? Okay, cool. We have fun. It's pretty surprising. Why is it not showing? Oh. No, no need, just turn it on. Should be okay. Can you try some? You need help.
Welcome back from intermission, everybody. So thank you so much for your questions. They're very interesting and excited to see Tricia's responses for them. So let's get started with the first one, which is a really good question I'd like to know more about too. How do you learn to listen to your body?
That's a really good question, and I love that. I love that you asked that. When it comes to someone saying listen to your body, I kind of akin it to, I used to do Pilates, and a lot of instructors would be like, engage your core. Engage, okay, right? What does that mean? So a lot of it is giving somebody or rather asking someone about their physical signs, physical symptoms, and of maybe, an example that I can think of off the top of my head is when someone is approaching burnout, right, or anyone who has maybe burnt out, and we do have quite a few clients that have done that. I question them and I say, well, what happened a couple months before you burnt out? How did you feel? What did it look like to you? Okay? Did your patterns change? So we have a female client who would maybe when she gets to the verge or brink of burnout, she'll do something like bend over and pick up something and she'll get injured. Right? And that's sort of her body saying to her, that was too much. So what we started working on was I would say to her, okay, well, obviously we don't want that to happen again, but before that happened, what was the lead up? And she was like, oh, that's really interesting because I haven't been able to sleep properly for 3 weeks. My nose is really red. I feel like I have a lot of acid reflux, like I can't seem to digest my food properly. And I just feel constantly drained. And I went, okay, before that, how did you feel? Maybe before the sleep started getting worse. She's like, well, I felt like I had a permanent tummy ache and I just couldn't, I felt full all the time. So I think the questioning, the line of questioning, or rather the conversation, discussion of how can I be more aware of my body, it's not a easy answer, but it's more of a discussion between you and a health coach or a personal trainer who is trained in health coaching to have so that you can pinpoint. So and then there are things that we can say. So for example, if you have really dry skin or cracked skin on your heels and your elbows, did you know that maybe gluten's not really your friend?
I didn't know that.
Right, so these are all the things that we could work on and we could share, and it's a combination, I would say, of sharing knowledge, of giving the physical signs and symptoms, and also asking you, like, what did you experience before X happened, right? And really getting somebody to brainstorm, to think back, and to drill down. So it's not just a on the surface question, but it's more of a what are the details? Give me more details. Give me more explanation. Please tell me. Right.
Well, along the lines of listening to yourself, do you have any advice for people who need to learn to say no? Whether it's maybe like working out for too long to the point of burnout or in the professional life, how can they combat that?
That's also a very good question. So actually the first thing is that if you're asking that question, that's really great because it shows that you're aware that you don't know how to say no. So a lot of the times when I call it unconsciously incompetent, you don't know what you don't know. But simply by asking that question, you're consciously incompetent. So you know that you need to say no, you just don't know how to do it. When it comes to health coaching or coaching in general, we look at stages of change. And then it's around a discussion, whether it's with a coach or with yourself, right? Are you prepared to go from conscious incompetence
right, to conscious competence, right? And to bridge that gap then, again, would be a health coaching session where, we're talking about, well, why do you want to say yes all the time? Well, it's, again, this is where one of our coaches who works with neuroencoding, she is brilliant with, and she really talks a lot about honesty, integrity, energy, and just, and even joy. And these are all the aspects and elements of perhaps getting someone to, adopt that habit of, one, knowing when to say no, and two, saying no.
Very insightful. So our next question is a little bit more on Limitless. Do you apply any advanced technology to evaluate your clients' health systems, or what are you currently using for this?
That's a really good question. We, depending on the client's goals, so one of the things that we don't do is we don't force someone onto a specific platform. So if somebody wants to, in general, measure optimal health, right, it depends on how far down the line they want to go to. So I have clients that have a Whoop band, they're happy with that, whether it's Fitbit, Apple Watches, that type of stuff. If we're looking at something more specific, we might utilize certain technology. So for example, if I want to understand somebody's average blood sugar over time, truly, we look at continuous monitoring, and that's connected to the smartphone. They can share the data with me. We do a lot of functional lab testing. So whether that's on your sex hormones, and there's something called a Dutch test, which looks at your cortisol awakening curve, for females, estrogen and all its different metabolites, progesterone, DHEA, testosterone for the guys. So it's a dried urine and saliva test, and that shows quite a lot. We have a GI map. We even have advanced genomic testing. So there's quite a lot of sort of lab things that we can do. Again, there's obviously a financial cost associated with that. If somebody wanted to look at just the general health markers, and they might have a Whoop band, they might have an Oura ring, whatever it is. We prefer to not push someone to look and take a so-called advanced technology only unless they want to. But if anybody has an integrated platform, I would love to talk to you.
So next question, thank you, is how important is it to stay focused on the journey rather than the end results? What are your insights on focusing on the journey?
It's so important to focus on the journey rather than the end result, because number one, and this comes back to my days of competing, is that you only learn when you fail. Or when you make mistakes, that's when you learn. If you're so focused also on the end result, you lose sight of how you got there, right? And a lot of the times, the quicker the result that you gained, the easier it is to lose it. But on the flip side, you also need to understand that if I wanted to go from A to B, right, my B might change. And you know what? A lot of the times people think that by training they need to have a goal, whether it's deadlift 150 kilos or be 20% body fat on a DEXA scan, or a whole myriad of things. I have this 6 packs, right? But what if you just wanted to enjoy your life? That's a goal too. And we actually had a client that came in at the start and she was fixated on the end result. And I just said to her, I was like, well, what's driving, when you did that the last time, because she said that she'd done a few transformations, I said, what happened after? Did it make you happier? Did you change your career, get the career you wanted? She was looking for, she was talking about also her career. I was like, did it get you the promotion you wanted? Did any of the things that you wanted, not just not aesthetically, but all the other aspects of your life, did all that improve magically just because you dropped 10 kilos and you lost X amount of body fat and you did a photo shoot with your abs showing? Just no. It's like, okay, so why don't this time around we focus on week by week, and for you to not get tied up by the numbers, right? Not watch what you eat, but how about we do it in a way where you're constantly asking yourself on a weekly basis, am I enjoying this? And you know what? This doesn't happen all the time, guys, and I cannot and I will not sell this, but she actually got a 6-pack in 16 weeks, which is ridiculous, and I hate her. I love you, Diane. But it's amazing how when you take away all the stresses, the body just works. And it was funny because she came in for a check-in with me, and she was like, so should I have a goal? And I was like, well, how was it not having a goal? She's like, great. I was like, okay, could we continue this way? She's like, oh, yeah, okay. But everyone's asking me whether I have a goal. I'm like, well, tell them you don't. It's okay. And then change the subject. So I think it's really important to focus on that journey. And you know what, regardless of whether that journey is something new that you're doing, like picking up a new hobby or learning something new or going to the gym, whatever it is, it's not so much about attaining that skill, it's how you attain it.
Thank you. So last question I have from our Q&A, which is, how do you define Limitless's business objective, mixing health coaching as well as fitness? How do you drive yourself forward?
That's an interesting one, and I think from a branding and identity perspective, maybe in a way we're still working that out. But we are more, I would say in a nutshell, we are personal trainers that look at integrated health and movement, where both your nutrition and movement is seen more as medicine.
That makes a lot of sense. That should be your.
Gotta remember that. I have to rewatch this.
We'll send you the recording. Really cool, thank you. So I just want to conclude by asking you what's next for Limitless, can we look forward to next year? You're updating your metabolic reset. Are there any exciting other new programs you're releasing?
There is. So number one, we actually just launched the Limitless Health Without Borders fund. And it's a fund where we work on raising money to be put towards mentoring and coaching hours. So we want to work with, and we're in talks to work with various charities around either whether it's just coaching underprivileged youth or coaching underprivileged women or men can't otherwise afford training. But the other part of the fund that I would love to do with it is to help underprivileged people change their lives by mentoring them to become personal trainers. Because the one thing that I personally have found being in this industry for over a decade is that I can't teach passion. I just can't. You either have it or you don't, right? And unfortunately, a lot of people, who are in my industry might just have, they're not passionate about what they do. And when you love what you do, you really see that change. And I truly believe that when you love what you do, you become really good at it, and the money comes in. So I would love to, mentor people who want to make that change, who can't necessarily afford a personal training certification, and we want to take them through that process. So that's Limitless Health Without Borders, and if you want to donate towards it, it would be absolutely amazing. I think it's on our Limitless Health HK Instagram and on my personal one at Tricia Yap. The other thing that we're actually launching in conjunction with that is Limitless Academy.
So it will be a online learning platform, will also be in person, but we want to launch things like, the 15-minute mini masterclass to estrogen, for example, or longer courses to do with female health. Next year in February, at the end of the Chinese New Year holidays, so whatever that weekend is, I think it's the 3rd to the 5th. We haven't announced it yet, but we will. I'll be launching an in-person female health mentorship aimed at coaches and people who just want to get an understanding of, a deeper understanding of the female body from a health, hormone, nutrition, as well as biomechanical aspect. So women are slightly different than men in that respect, and there's not enough material out there to really, or there's very conflicting material, and I hope to kind of show people the two sides, and show coaches the two sides, and get them to really think about what they should be applying, what they should be discarding, and whether you're just a fitness fanatic, whether you love health and wellness, whether you just want to learn about your body, or whether you're a personal trainer who wants to learn more about working with women, then this would be for you. So that's coming in Feb. So that's next year.
First week of February.
I think so. Yeah, that first weekend anyway.
Exciting! All right, thank you so much, Tricia, for joining us today.
Thanks so much, Hannah, for having me.
Really, really insightful talk, very valuable advice. For those who want to tune in again or listen to Tricia's advice again, we'll be posting the recording on the Hive social media at the Hive Hong Kong, so you can catch us there, as well as more information on future events. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you to our audience who joined us here as well
And
as
happy
online.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, and happy Thanksgiving. So hope you all have an amazing rest of your night. And thank you again for tuning in to Hive Talks with Tricia Yap.